What's up guys, Miata update. Today we got a 22 Hyundai Elantra that we are going to be replacing the ITM on. Let's get to it. Okay, so jumping right in, we're going to disconnect our negative and positive battery terminals. Remember to record any information that may disappear in memory when disconnecting the battery. For this operation, we're actually going to remove the whole battery just because it makes it a little easier. At this point, we're going to start to remove the airbox. Start by removing the two clips at the front and undoing the two hose clamps on the two hoses. Remove the two hoses. And there's one bolt to loosen and three to remove. The one bolt is for the hose clamp and the three are to hold the airbox down. Once you remove those three bolts, you can disconnect the MAF sensor and pull the airbox out. Now disconnect the 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts for the battery tray and one more for the ECU. Drop your 10 mil in there while you're at it, have to fish it out. Disconnect the fuel return line connector. Now remove the portion of wiring harness on the battery tray and remove the battery tray. Remove the transmission connector and pull up on that bit of wiring harness. Now to Mason Live. This right here is a quick neck fitting. You see there's a little clamp on here and take that clamp off and pop this off. And we're gonna continue. We have this connector right here, another hose, and I believe there's another hose on the bottom. Yes, there it is. And then 4 bolts, and then that should be able to all come off and we'll replace that. That is the ITM right there. So at this point, we're actually going to drain the coolant so we don't make a big mess. Coming back to voiceover Mason, we're gonna go ahead and remove our radiator cap to make sure when we drain the coolant, it flows a little better. Remember to do this that when the engine is not hot or when it's not running to prevent massive burns. You don't want that to happen, do you? At this point, we're gonna remove our undercover with its 4 bolts and mini clips. And make sure you smile for the camera. Now we loosen the radiator drain plug, which is on the front of the radiator. And we be a little patient. You could just pop off a radiator hose to make it a little quicker, but that's messy and I don't like to do it. Then put a drain pan under the vehicle, catch any excess coolant, or don't if you hate the environment. Now remove the upper coolant hose and put it down there, get it out your way. Now remove the lower coolant hose and hose clamp and get it out your way. Now remove the rear coolant hose. And now down to Mason Live for a quick tip. So a good way to remove coolant hoses if they're a little budged is to take a pick, kind of run it underneath it. Make sure to not stab the hose itself and damage it because that can be bad, cause leaks. After you kind of break it free and get in here. There we go. A little bit of leakage. I'm gonna have to clean that out a little bit. That's okay though. All right, at this point, we are just about ready to remove the ITM. We are going to loosen the 2 bolts and 2 nuts using a 10 millimeter socket and an extension. Makes it pretty easy to get them out. Now we can remove the ITM. Make sure to remove the O-ring. You don't want to double gasket it and cause a leak. Gonna wipe it down, make sure it's clean before we put the new one on. So this is our new ITM. This is what's gonna be going into this car in a moment. You see it comes with a new O-ring, or gasket, I guess. At this point, we are going to go ahead and reinstall the new ITM. It can be a little bit tricky to get this thing in there, so make sure to take your time and make sure everything is seated correctly before we start tightening bolts down. Once it is fully seated, we can go ahead and tighten down those bolts. Once those are fully tight, we can go ahead and reinstall our coolant hoses and all the clips required. Make sure to follow the reverse order of operation that we did to remove it to reinstall everything else. And I think at this point, I'll leave you with some satisfying automotive noises. Now that we've completely reinstalled everything on this vehicle, we're going to go ahead and fill it up with coolant. So let's go ahead and bust that coolant jug open and pour it into the radiator cap. I have this nice little jug that makes it spill free, and it's very easy. Now, it might appear at first glance that this car is already full on coolant, but it is not. So we are going to go ahead and connect our scan tool. We're going to plug our connector down below to the OBD2 connector below the dash. And then on our scan tool, we're going to click this button, and then that button. And then after clicking this button, the car should be in the coolant filling mode, and it will fill the coolant into the car. Now, this is while the engine is running and is a very simple procedure with a Hyundai factory scan tool. Now I'll usually open up the reservoir cap and take whatever's left and dump it into the reservoir. It's a good way to just save your resources. Now let's go ahead and reinstall our radiator cap. And I usually like to install the undercover last, just so if I mess up and there's any leaks, they're easier to spot. And then you have to go through your toolbox, find some more clips because it was missing some, install the last few. Make sure to check over your work, make sure you did everything right, and get the car back to the customer in a safe fashion. Thank you for watching.